Football is a sport where we largely see players who remind us of others, coaches who follow very similar plans, and teams attached to their ways. For better or worse, football features no small amount of uniformity. So in this list, we celebrate the 10 biggest mavericks in football history. Not necessarily the most famous, nor the biggest characters, but those who truly marched to the beat of their own drum and did things their own way. Here are the 10 most unique players in football history. Number 10, Johann Cruyff. So, remember when I said this list wouldn't necessarily feature the most famous footballers? There might be one or two notable exceptions. Cruyff was undisputably one of the best players of all time, with many moments helping him forever stand out. For the sake of brevity, I'll pick 3 aspects of his time in football that show his genius and the maverick that he truly was. The first is his creativity on the pitch, including perhaps the most famous trick in football history, the Cruyff turn. You know when you get a skill named after you that you did something right, and sending a defender the completely wrong way in a World Cup game is the stuff of dreams for us mere mortals. He was also known for the pass penalty, where he knocked a penalty sideways to a teammate before receiving the ball back and passing it onto an empty net. He also played a defining role in both the tactical revolution known as total football and the shaping of Barcelona's playstyle and philosophy. And lastly, in typical Cruyff fashion, when the Dutch FA told him he must take their coaching badges in order to be the national team manager, Cruyff simply refused, as it was seen as an insult to his status in world football. When you think about it, it really is absurd. It's like demanding prime Muhammad Ali pass your own personal boxing course before he can fight for your honour. Always a man with his own ideas and never shy to share them, Cruyff changed football forever in so many ways due to his one-of-a-kind nature, more than earning his accolade as one of the most unique footballers of all time. While Cruyff came to redefine convention in many ways, the footballers from here on out are far from conventional. Number 9, Dario Dubois. Here we have a player most famous for his chosen look. Dubois was known for, well, this. His face paint was inspired by the band Kiss, who also inspired him off the field, as Dubois played in 3 separate bands himself alongside his football career. He carried his rockstar image onto the pitch, claiming to inspire fear in his opponents as well as making himself feel fearless. I'm not sure a man with his face painted like this would inspire fear in me, but wherever floats your boat, Dario. It certainly helped him stand out, with his Kiss-style war paint leading him to claim that you paint your face, you go to war, you kill your rivals. Okay, perhaps he was a bit scary after all. Number 8, Steve Watson. Many long-time viewers of the English Premier League will know of Rory Delap's famous long throw-ins. However, there was a player who did something even more impressive than make throw-ins a major scare for the opposition defences. Meet Steve Watson, Newcastle's wonder boy who used to front flip to add extra force into his throw-ins. We'll say. In reality, it's hard to say if it's more of a party trick or if it really did add some power that he couldn't have otherwise gotten, but it's certainly impressive no matter how you look at it. While other players have since done this, Watson is the one who will be most remembered for it. Number 7, Kerlon. Have you ever seen seals balancing a ball on their nose? Wouldn't it be annoying in theory if a footballer could run up the pitch while juggling the ball on their head? I mean, how would you even try to take the ball off them? Let alone how foolish you'd look while they're doing this to you. Thankfully, this isn't really doable in the heat of a Oh. Well then, Kerlon apparently thinks egg and spoon races were simply an entry guide to how to be a footballer, as the balance and control required to do this in a real game is remarkable. And he would do this more often than you'd imagine practically possible. Definitely a party piece that will live long in the mind. As the young whippersnappers say these days, the streets will never forget Kerlon. Number 6, Rene Heguita. Look at that perm. Look at it. Just look at it. Keep looking. Do not avert your eyes from the mighty perm. Bask in its glow, let it comfort you, guide you, tickle you. Right. So aside from the perm, there was another very distinguished feature of Heguita's play, namely a rather absurd save. In an act of pure showmanship, the Colombian goalkeeper nicknamed El Loco performed a scorpion kick save in a friendly game versus England. This extraordinary moment has lived long in the memory of the footballing world as one of the most utterly unique moments we've ever seen. Honestly, my favourite thing is his big smile right after he does it. Look at how happy he is. I wish I was that excited about making videos. I love you all. Like and subscribe. Number 5, Cuauhtémoc Blanco. Blanco has recently entered Mexican politics with the backing of his president amid lingering allegations of ties to drug cartels. However, it's for an altogether more straightforward reason he makes our list. Back in his playing days, he was revered as an extremely creative player, thanks in no small part to a unique way of getting past people. El Cuau is known for inventing a trick called, and apologies in advance for the butchering of this, La Cuauhtémenia, commonly known in English as the bunny hop. spot. When faced with two players, Blanco would wedge the ball in between his feet and hop through the gap between his opponents. Mexican journalist Leon Krause amusingly described Blanco as a penguin awkwardly jumping while carrying an endangered egg. Not only this, but as a pot-bellied, chain-smoking 37-year-old, he was still a magical player, with all the feel for the game and individual flair you could hope for. Most definitely a one-of-a-kind player, and one who will live long in the memory of his native Mexico. Number 4, Stanley Matthews. Aside from being an all-time great in terms of pure talent, Stanley Matthews also had what can only be described as an extraordinarily long career. Matthews played from 1931 to 1965, retiring at the age of 50. He did miss 6 years of this career due to a pesky little annoyance called World War II. He served in the RAF between the ages of 24 and 30, normally the physical peak of most players' careers. To try and put his career in a little bit of perspective, if a boy was born in 1931, got his first senior game at the age of 17, and had a long 14 or 15 year career, Matthews would have been playing when he was a baby, when he debuted, and he would have still been going when this player retired. Number 3, Hakan Nilsson. As if I said that right. Hakan was a Swedish player who played his club football in Sweden, Denmark, Singapore and Norway, enjoying a fairly average career from 1994 to 2007. However, you may have guessed there's a rather notable twist to this tale. The midfielder went by the moniker the One-Armed Bandit, as he was born with only half of his right arm. It's a pretty simple entry really. Carving out a solid top-flight career without fully functional limb is an extraordinary achievement, and solidifies Hakan as one of the most unique players of all time. Number 2, Rocori Sani. I'm sure some of you thought Sani would top this list when you first clicked on it, but the Brazilian has landed in our number 2 spot. For those who don't know, Sani played for Sao Paulo and scored 131 goals from penalties and free kicks in his storied career. Not that impressed? You should be, as Sani did this while he was a goalkeeper. In case anybody is unaware of how absurd that is, goalkeepers do not take set pieces in the opposition half. It leaves the team incredibly vulnerable at their own end, and so it's just not really done outside of the dying moments of a game. The fact that Sani was entrusted with this responsibility speaks to his absurd talent from dead ball situations. It's not difficult to see why Sani is a legend in the history of not only Sao Paulo but football in general. However, there is one man who I believe is still more deserving of the number 1 spot. But before that, I do have a quick honourable mention for the Brazilian midfielder Sandro Silva. Silva was known for a rather wonderful bit of skill where he would scoop the ball directly over opposing players who are running at him. A hilarious party piece that just fails to crack this list. And without any further ado, number 1, Bert Troutman. I have to give credit to my dad for this one. This is, bar none, the most incredible all-round story I've ever heard about a footballer. Bert was, how to say this without getting instantly demonetized. Bert was part of a very special after-school club in Germany, run by an extremely angry mustache model. He went, as many Germans did that time, on an extended holiday to Poland in an effort to make Poland Germany, before deciding he'd really like the UK to also be Germany. Okay, channel takedown avoided. Bert was a prisoner of war and stayed in the UK after the war was over, becoming the starting goalkeeper of St Helens. His later Manchester City signing was protested by over 20,000 fans, who did not want a player with his past representing the club. 563 games, a Football of the Year award and an OBE for improving Anglo-German relations later, we still haven't touched on the reason he's on this list. Bert Troutman performed one of the most extraordinary sporting feats I've ever heard of. Bert earned his Footballer of the Year award partly due to his genuinely heroic display in the 1956 FA Cup final. With 17 minutes to go, Bert made a key stop, only to get up seemingly injured. He played on for the remaining 17 minutes, making several key saves on the road to City's victory, and was said to have a noticeably crooked neck when he picked up his winner's medal. A scan several days later revealed, I am not kidding, he had broken his neck. He played 17 active minutes with a broken neck. A broken neck! Nowadays, this would not only not be advised, it would be absolutely not allowed to happen, as he would have been carted off and taken to the hospital immediately. Back then, this extraordinary man played through what must have been horrific pain to gut it out and be a key part of his side's win. What else can I even say? An astonishing man who most certainly deserves the title of the most unique footballer in history. And that's our list. Know of any other unique stories like these? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to join the clan or I'll make you join Bert's old after school club. No, not really, but please do subscribe.